is pushing for the party to protect performing MPs from being contested at the party level.
To have a situation where at the end of every 4 years, the sluice gates have to be opened for all members of parliament, regardless of their stature, regardless of their competence, to go back and face the constituency party, to me is something that is not good. We have to have a second look at that.
Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo to be acclaimed as the NPP's presidential candidate on June 27. We have details here on Top Story, brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion. Gasm, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting, ready, and we're continuing to give you too much data. I am Emefa Apawu. And the race to Parliament in the NPP has entered its final phase as candidates within the governing party push hard ahead of the primary this weekend. Now, as many as 306 parliamentary aspirants are contesting in 101 constituencies to select candidates for the December 7 elections. Now, disqualifications, invocation of curses, and allegations of favoritism have dominated the contest. But this weekend, the ones with influence, likability, and most importantly, deep pocket will most likely sail through this contest. The Member of Parliament for Bantama, Daniel Ochimabwaji, Ghana's ambassador to India, Michael Quay Jr., and his main contender, Deputy Majority Leader Sarah Adjwasafo for the Dom Kwabenya constituency, and the Deputy Trade Minister Robert Ahom Kalimse have been speaking to Joy News.
Distinguish ourselves, so the people will have a reason to either say let's continue or let's say no. But I know they're going to decide wisely, and it's going to be mature.
We, as the contestants, have to respect their choice, like I did 8 years ago on the first occasion that I went. This is my second time, and we pray that we come victorious, to have the opportunity to serve the Domi Kwabenya constituency and to make Domi Kwabenya great.
This is a contest. It is not a fight, and it's within the same part. At the end of the day, we need a united front to be able to go for the mantle ahead of us in 2020.
I've made a commitment based on a simple two-stage strategy. One is unity, and the other is development. You cannot have one without the other.
And they are facing a stiff opposition. On Saturday, we'll get to know the smoothness level of all, like Elton John Brobe will say. And he joins me in studio together with Winston Amwa. They are members of our political desk here at Joy News, and they are leading this whole primaries for us this weekend. And Winston and Elton, welcome. So I'll start with you, Winston. You've been making us know which constituencies to watch. Let's go through some of them. I'm sure Elton will also bring in more.
Exactly, Emefa. So you already talked about the Dom Kwabenya constituencies. One of those that you should look forward to in the Greater Accra region in particular. But there's also, Okaikwe South constituencies. There's Okaikwe South constituency because the Member of Parliament, that's Ahmed Arthur, for the third time would seek to represent the people of Okaikwe South. He's facing competition from the chairman of the National Theatre and former first vice chairman of the East MPP in the Eastern region, Nana Fredia Ajiman Oforiata, as well as Dakwan Newman. And it's one of those constituencies that you should look forward to. And then if you go to Botiano English Yamanfro constituency. So, you have Sylvester Tete, who's the CEO of the National Youth Authority. Yeah. He's always represented the NPP in the Ningo Pram constituency. Now he seeks to, change constituencies, come to Botiano English Yamanfro constituency. And in his bid, he would want to unseat the current Member of Parliament, that's Honorable Habib Saab. And he will also be contesting together with Frederick Aban, Gifty Mensah, and George Ado Osewai. Let me also take you to the Ladade Kotopon constituency.
Yeah, still in the Greater Accra region.
Yes, still in the Greater Accra region. One of the constituencies that the NPP snatched from the NDC in the 2016 election. And the current Member of Parliament, not so long ago, Deputy Communications Minister Vincent Suwa Odote, is facing competition from Joseph Gerard Tete Nyanyofio and Comfort Ajay Korti. This is one of the constituencies you should look at. because it is one of the constituencies where there's likely to be a surprise.
Well, Winston, I know you have to run for Upfront on Joy News Channel.
Yes.
Elton, you've been looking at the Ashanti region as well, the hotspots are there. Let's start off from the Ashanti region.
All right, so what we've done is to narrow it down to 26 constituencies that we consider to be hotspots. These are the constituencies that we are looking at. So for the Ashanti region, like you said, Bantama obviously tops the list because of the personalities involved. The Deputy Chief of Staff and the incumbent MP, Daniel Ochemabuaje, who is seeking to go for the second term, and Francis Asenso-Boakye is challenging him. From what we are hearing, there's going to be a very close contest between the two. There's also Menshanov, the Member of Parliament, is going for the third term, and he's facing competition from two other individuals. Now, if you go beyond the Ashanti region, there's Brekum East, where you have the chairman of the Health Committee of Parliament facing competition from 4 other people. Sunyani East, for example, is a place that we need to take a closer look at because of the people involved. Now, the person, the incumbent Member of Parliament, is the majority chief whip. If you go to parliaments, and in all parliaments across the world, if you take the majority leader out, the most important person in that parliament will be the chief whip, because he connects between the parliament and the government. So for a position of a chief whip to be contested, it speaks volumes. And the reason is very simple. In 2004, J.H. Mensah was the Member of Parliament for Sunyani East. Now, in 2004, when there was this clarion call for J.H. Mensah to step down because he had been in Parliament for so long, 7 people contested him in 2004. Now, some people were spoken to step down. So out of the 7, 6 stepped down, including the current Deputy General Secretary of the MPP, Nana Obribuahem. The only person who decided not to step down but to go all out was the current Member of Parliament for Sunyani East, Kwesi Amyachema, who happens to be the majority chief whip. Now, the same issue that he raised against J.H. Mensah in 2004 is what has been raised against him. He's been in Parliament since 2008 after now, and there is time for change.
So Alfred Chiayabua is seeking to unseat him
in Sunyani, who is trying to unseat him. Now, another place that we are also looking at is Tema West, where the incumbent and Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Carlos Ahenkra, is facing competition from an activist of the party and assembly member for the Sakumono electoral area. Kwesi Poku Bosompem is the place that we are looking at. The position of the incumbent Member of Parliament for Okimodam, William Kwetu, is being threatened by Alexander Akwesi Akwa, with a third aspirant, Mr. Richard Asarebediakum, considered a third underdog. From 18 electoral areas, they will have to battle it out from 431 delegates, and they will decide their fates. We spoke about it yesterday. It is also a place that will witness, competition. Adansi Asoka constituency, Katie Hammond, he's been in Parliament for 20 years now. As a matter of fact, if you take away Osechi Mensah Bonsu and Abambaben, Katie Hammond and Kennedy Japan will be the longest serving members of Parliament if you take these.
And this is the first time he'll be contested.
This is the first time he'll be contesting after being in Parliament for 20 years. In that particular constituency, 436 delegates from 27 electoral areas will decide who will lead them into the next election. And then there are Asikuma Odobin Brako constituency, Anthony Fa is facing
an interesting area,
but the presidential staffer, Mr. Ernest Kojo Smith, a former district chief executive for the area, and they have 666 delegates that they are looking for. The executive secretary for the National Council for Curriculum Assessment,
Dr. Prince Ama,
is also challenging the incumbent Joseph Mensah for the votes of 431 delegates in 9 electoral areas. The former boss of the former chief executive of BOS, Alfred Obem, is also challenging Christopher Ade for the BBNE and also constituency. So, Emefa, 26 constituency we've looked at. In our view, these are the places to look forward to on Saturday.
Well, we know that Katie Hammond's people, some former chairman of the constituency, we know that they petitioned the party to look at why the candidate that's going to contest him was disqualified and was allowed to contest this time around. They gave the party 48 hours. We're yet to hear what exactly that decision will be. When we speak to the national organizer of the party, Samir Oku, we'll get answers to that and more. But interestingly, the majority leader Osechi Mensah-Bonsu is making this call again.
Before I go to that, I mean, some news that we are picking is that the person who wanted to contest the health minister this afternoon decided to step down.
Okay.
So the health minister will be going on.
Well, it's part of also the acclamation, that statement that the party issued. We'll get into it. Stay with me, Elton. But let's talk about the majority leader, Osechi Mensah-Bonsu. He wants the party to take a second look at allowing sitting MPs to go through a contest every 4 years at the party level. This, he says, is unfair to performing MPs. Listen.
We may have to lighten the business of the House until next week when the event would be over, and to hope in all sincerity that most of them who are going to this contest would return unscathed, because if they should return bruised and have lost their seats, the enthusiasm to be in Parliament would suddenly wane, and it will become a difficulty for us to prosecute the agenda of government. So that's where we are. And it's the reason why I have often said that going forward, the two big political parties in the system, NPP and DC, will have to introspect and review their constitution to be in sync with what obtains in the established democracies, where parliamentarians are assessed on the floor of Parliament. And if you may, perhaps we can also add the dimension of the constituency party for them to also assess their members of Parliament. If there's congruence on the performance that the member is doing well, 4 years, why should there be any elections? The person is not doing well, and the party tries to correct him, he's not conforming, and there will have to be elections. So be it. But to have a situation where at the end of every 4 years, the sluice gates have to be opened for all members of Parliament, regardless of their stature, regardless of their competence, to go back and face the constituency party, to me is something that is not good. We'll have to have a second look at that.
That's the majority leader, Osechi Mensah-Bonsu, the claims he makes that will be interrogating further subsequently. But we've been joined on the phone by the national organizer of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. Samir Wuku. We're grateful for your time here on Top Stories. So we have just about less than 48 hours to go for the parliamentary primaries of your party. Can you say confidently that we've been able to resolve all the issues that would have otherwise marred a successful primaries?
Well, good evening, Emefa. Good evening to your cherished listeners. Well, the party, we've done everything humanly possible to ensure that we have a smooth parliamentary primaries in the 100 constituencies where we will have heated contests on Saturday. There will be 2,407 voting centers across the country, across the 100 constituencies where we will have these parliamentary primaries. Again, as you know, we have 67 of these constituencies where we had candidates being declared unopposed by the National Executive Committee, and this includes Gushegu and Doma Central. Yesterday, the sole contender for the Doma Central constituency, Dr. Yao Yeboah, withdrew from the race and threw his weight behind the incumbent member of Parliament, who is the health minister. Gushegu as well, after extensive deliberations of the party leadership, the steering committee as well, and in broader consultation with members of NEC, the Gushegu constituency, we had our member of Parliament, Dr. Zibli Midi, withdrawing from the race sometime last week. And then you also had Osman Mahama, who was the remaining candidate in it, also stepping down and throwing his weight behind the NPA boss, Hassan Tampuli. We have selected Hassan Tampuli to also represent the party and contest on our ticket in the Gushegu constituency. For the Kwadaso constituency, we will be having the primaries on Wednesday next week. That's after we're done with the 100 constituencies. For the 67 constituencies where we declare them unopposed, we fix between 15th and the 20th. for the various constituencies to conduct acclamation on electoral area basis in consultation with the regional party and the national party. So that is also ongoing. As we speak, the Electoral Commission is supervising the printing of the ballot, which we are printing or which is being printed. And we hope that by midnight, the Electoral Commission would have taken full delivery of the ballot booklet and the register that will be used in all these constituencies, in all these 100 constituencies. So by midnight today, as I told you earlier, the Electoral Commission is supervising the printing of the ballot papers, which is currently ongoing, and we hope to finish them with the register as well by midnight.
Okay.
Tomorrow, the regions should have it, and the constituencies should also have it by 6 p.m. tomorrow, hopefully. Then Saturday morning, voting starts at 7 and ends at 1 p.m.
So earlier, there were some concerns from some of the candidates that they were yet to take delivery of the register that they will be using for the voting on Saturday. Has that been cleared now? Can you say that all candidates now have it?
Well, we are liaising with the Electoral Commission at the national level to ensure that the candidates, the various voting centers have copies of our register. For the candidates as well, at the regional level and the constituency level, we believe we have resolved many of these challenges. And so I am confident that the candidates should either have it in their possession or it's on its way to them.
Now, one concern, at least in the lead up to where we are today, at Dansiasokwa, for instance, we've been looking at all the hotspots and those who are being contested. You know that this primaries has not been without allegations of, favoritism, vote buying, and then also we've seen invocation of cases where you've had cause to suspend some of your members, for instance. In Dansiasokwa,
we haven't had any case of vote buying. From where we sit, we haven't seen anybody that deliberately, actively or inactively inducing people with money.
You haven't had allegations of so?
Well, unless these are social media allegations, and for us as a national party, we don't go by social media allegations. Be as it may, we have our clear guidelines, our code of conduct, and anybody who falls foul of it, there are repercussions and sanctions as well. With the issue of Adansiasokwa that you have repeated once again,
I didn't land on Adansiasokwa, for instance, Mr. Samiruku. So I was going to ask you that we know that a former chairman of the constituency, together with others, actually petitioned the party through their lawyers to resolve issues that they had raised, that the candidate who is contesting, Mr. K.T. Hammond, who had been disqualified at one point, then all of a sudden they were told that he was going to be contesting him. So they gave the party 48 hours to resolve the issue, else it goes to court. So I was going to ask the update on that issue.
Well, they petitioned the party, and the party also responded to them. That's my checks from the Director of Electoral Affairs and Research. The party wrote back to them and said decisions of NEC, they are classified as final when it comes to parliamentary primaries. NEC is the final body that decides on parliamentary issues and parliamentary primaries as far as our party structures are concerned. You have a vetting committee, National Parliamentary Vetting Committee. If you are not satisfied with this decision, you go to the National Appeals Committee. If you are not satisfied with the National Appeals Committee, then the decision rests on the shoulders of NEC. So NEC met, that's the final decision-making body when it comes to parliamentary issues. And NEC clearly resolved that matter at this sitting where we opened the constituency out for contest. So the party responded to the petition and the letter that we spoke about. So to us as a party and for us at the MPP headquarters, we still have on our radar that the Adansiasokwa constituency has been opened up for a contest. So we expect the Honorable Governor Tahiru and Samuel Blenfo to contest on Saturday.
And all sides are satisfied with the decision taken by the party, I may ask.
I'm unable to tell whether they are satisfied or not, but we can only communicate decisions of the party. As to being satisfied or not is a very subjective question.
Okay. Well, as national organizer, as we speak, you would say on authority that all is set for a contest on Saturday.
Well, we believe that we put measures in place. As we also speak, we are in the process of also dispatching the various face masks tens and thousands of them, hand sanitizers, thousands of them, and also Veronica buckets to all the 2,407 voting centers. So we expect delegates who will come there without face masks to be given face masks. Delegates who will come there without hand sanitizers to also benefit from the hand sanitizers that we are providing. And then we've also made arrangements and preparations for Veronica buckets, liquid soap, hand paper towel to also be strategically positioned at these centers. It is our hope and prayer that party officials, all these are officials of the party, the delegates, are all officials of our party, from the polling station structure to the electoral area to the constituency. We expect that they also abide by the rules of engagement and the guidelines that was released by the party leadership and the National Executive Committee. And we will not tolerate any acts of insubordination and the flagrant disregard of the rules and regulations that guides the conduct of this parliamentary primaries. We are racing against time, and we hope that the process will go on smoothly.
Okay, and then we can't let you go without talking about security arrangements also.
Yes, thank you for bringing that issue. We've also concluded our arrangement with the Ghana Police Service. We've written to them. I can see that Joy FM on your own, you have your own hotspot areas. But we have also finished the Ghana Police Service with the entire flashpoints that we consider as well as a party, so that they can also keep a close eye there. Yes, some of them are part of the list that I think I had Winston and a colleague of yours also going through that list. But we have extended, we've gone beyond that 20-something or so centers or constituencies that you spoke about. And we've given the police a detailed report and the various constituencies and centers that we believe they should also help us keep a close eye on. So we've concluded arrangements with the police. We are expecting that there will be 2 policemen or so at every voting center to also help provide adequate security for electoral officials and the delegates that will be coming there.
We're grateful. We'll leave it here then, Mr. Samiruko. We're grateful for your time. That's the national organizer of the NPP joining us there on the phone. And earlier, Elton, we're talking about the plans for acclamation on the June 27 of President Akufo-Addo because no one came up for a contest. And there's a statement that you have from the party as well that you want to add.
So this will be done on Saturday, June 27, 2020. The party will acclaim the sole candidate who filed his nomination to contest in the 2020 presidential primary. That's His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo as the party's presidential candidate. The acclamation of the presidential candidate together with running mate will be done at a special National Council meeting of the party to be held in Accra with the media and relevant stakeholders in attendance. And so this is basically it. So that will be done. Remember that when he returned his nomination forms, he made it clear that he was going to go with Dr. Bawumia. So that matter is settled. What is left is for the party to do what is constitutional by, affirming him as their sole candidate for the 2020 general elections. So
I had the opportunity to speak to the General Secretary of the NPP, John Boydu. We can listen to him. I'll come back to you, Alton.
At our last National Council meeting, the clause that mandates the party to organize the National Congress to a presidential candidate if he's the only person who puts in the application at the close of filing was waived by National Council because of the COVID-19 situation. Because if you are to go by that process, what it means is that you need to assemble close to 150,000 people to acclaim the presidential candidate. So when that clause was waived by the National Council, it mandated the National Steering Committee to choose a date and venue for acclamation by the party. And at yesterday's National Steering Committee meeting, we agreed that the National Council is the second highest decision-making body of the party apart from Congress or the National Delegates Conference. So it is an appropriate body which also, considering the numbers, is less than 100. So will be able to assemble and acclaim the presidential candidates.
That's the General Secretary of the NPP. So the national organizer tells us that all is set according to what they have done and what the measures they put in place. But you have some more information.
Right. So tomorrow is Friday. Tomorrow is a working day.
Yeah.
And what we are picking is that there are attempts or there are plans underway to enchant some of the constituencies.
Okay.
Now, what we've checked so far indicates that some of the contests may face over a dozen suits that may scuttle Saturday's event in some constituencies.
Okay.
Now, we've been checking from the registry at the high courts, and we have confirmation. We've also been speaking to a legal practitioner who is going to court tomorrow, and he is doing so on behalf of some people who've petitioned, 2 constituencies. And the thinking, or what I'm getting, is that he may file motion for an injunction in some of the constituencies. We are yet to get to know of the names of these constituencies. Now, this action, according to what we are picking, is that the party ignored several petitions from some of the party members. Indeed, for example, in the Asante-Akim North constituency, almost 200 delegates filed a petition over the removal of their names from the album. And according to them, they did not receive any response from the party. That's why they've taken this action. So, for what we are picking is that from the registry at the High Court, over a dozen suits have been filed, and this may scuttle Saturday's event in some of the constituencies, and we are still checking.
And this is your election headquarters, and of course, we'll be following all that you need to know when it comes to the NPP parliamentary primaries and all the activities in the lead-up to the December polls. That's it for Top Story, brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans, your success, our passion, also by Gasson, the Nation Builder, and Vodafone. The future is exciting, ready, and you know that there's no way you run out of things to do during this lockdown because Vodafone has got you sorted out. And dial star 700 hash to get 3 gigabyte data for 10 Ghana cedis, 8 gigabyte data for 20 Ghana cedis, and 20 gigabyte data for 50 Ghana cedi bundle. All you need to do is to stay home, stay connected with Vodafone, because with too much data, there's almost nothing you can't do. And we know that the impending parliamentary primaries of the governing NPP has also compelled Parliament to truncate its sitting for today and also set aside that of tomorrow, Friday, June 19. News Night starts after this break.
Hello.
Why you bed?
It's 5 a.m. Of course I bed.